Welcome, Edmond, to the Argetti website pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Dordeduh and this new album, Hard, where the band continues from the previous work and achieve more progressive elements into theirs. So, the first question, I think this is this question that you answer a lot. Why the long break? Because since the first album to this new album, there are almost 10 years of difference.
Yeah, like you said, yes, I think every interview asked about this thing. The things are actually really simple. It is because of me, because I became a father. I have now three kids, three boys, and they represent now my top priority in life. So I I, I had to give them my full attention. And when one wants to do that in a, you cannot say impeccable way, but when you want to do it good, you need to kind of put everything aside, at least according to the life we have here in Romania. I mean, it is quite known that Romania is not necessarily a rich country, and sometimes life can become quite difficult, especially nowadays with this pandemic shit that is going around the world.
Okay. So, um, all webs, all interviews, all reviews. I saw that Dordeduh perhaps is a continue from Negura Budget, your previous work, because you have troubles in the past with the old members. It's a matter. Every knows that as well. Or what is the musical approach that you want to give for Dordeduh for the future?
To be honest, I'm not necessarily thinking about this. It's just a matter of self-expression, and for example, for this album, we played things that were relevant for us in this particular moment, or better said, like 2 years ago. When we will write some new music, we will write what will be relevant there and then. And I think every musician uh, is changing his approach during the time. For example, we had a lot of people asking about why we don't write another Om album like we wrote with Negro Bunjet. People kind of forget that that album was written in around the year 2000, 2001, 2003, around that time. Since then, my musical taste changed, my musical expression as a musician changed. So I hope that we evolved, and but in the same time, I think if somebody is paying close attention to what we write and the way we write music, I think they will kind of see that it's kind of the same approach. I mean, most of the people were able to say, okay, it's the same kind of vibe, and it's kind of obvious that uh, it's the same songwriting.
Okay, okay. Well, many people think that. I don't think like that. I don't think like that because I prefer. I am a musician too, so I prefer the musician explore new rhymes, new schemes, new music because that I love from the music. That's the for me the music specialists continue grow with every album, every song. It's much better for the music, especially from the underground or mainstream music. So into this matter. So I've been listening these two productions of you, like Dordeduh and Hard. All with letters were made in Roman. So therefore, why did you decide to make lyrics in your language? And perhaps this matter does it something to do with nationalist aspects to do in your language?
No, not at all. I mean, we are definitely not related to that. First of all, the lyrics We don't write lyrics that have anything in common with nationalism or not even history or tradition. Our lyrics are about spirituality, about esotericism, so it's completely different realm. And the reason why I write the lyrics in Romanian, it is because I there are actually two aspects. First of all, that I express myself the best in my native tongue. Of course, this is relevant for people that understand the language, and they can see that there is a certain poetry in our music. And I mean, I put a lot of focus on the lyrics. For me, each word is there because it has to be there. I spend a lot of time doing the lyrics. But on the other the other aspect is the fact that I consider more the vocals like an other instrument. I don't put too much emphasis on the vocals. For me, vocals, for example, if there's a longer part where I don't feel that there should be vocals, like it is often in our music, I don't put any vocals just for the sake that we have to have there some vocals, or because it's not trendy to leave the instrumental music. So for me, it's a complete different approach. For me, this aspect, of course, the message is really important, and I want to express that thing. But on the other side, I think that I believe very, very much in the power of the word, of the spoken word. I think that words are coming from, I mean, how to explain this? The first layer is the intention. After that, there is the thought. And after that, there's a verbal expression. All these things are moving things around. And I believe strongly that if you have a strong intention behind, it doesn't matter what kind of language you speak. Those feelings and energies and emotions are transmitted to the listener, and it's about being in tune with something. It's for many times you listen, for example, in your native. A couple of days ago, I was listening to some songs from your Shipibo tribes over there.
Oh,
I don't understand anything from what they are singing, but the vibe that I got from their music, it's amazing. I mean, and I think this kind of things are much more valuable. It's beyond words. It's beyond language. It's beyond culture, if you want. And this is the aspect that is actually interesting.
okay, okay. So as I said in the previous question, I told you that this new band is go beyond, or your, for me especially, is beyond Negura Budget, because I like some albums from Negura Budget, but when I hear this new album, Har, I really touch my feelings, touch my to my see the things into the music nowadays, because in one side you have progressive rock elements, you have a lot of things into there, and in the other hand you have the black metal part with a touch of folk elements, a little. Because this album is more progressive than folk like the previous works. So do you think that at some point, after continue with this kind of experimentation, album after album, with this new one and more in common, so the metal influence will be no longer as a part of Dordeduh music?
Like I said, I never think about this kind of stuff. If I put myself in that position, I think I just limit myself. So I'm never thinking this album should sound like this or should have elements like this. I like to give maximum freedom to my creative impulse. And but to be honest, I would not be afraid that we would lose the metal part, because I'm a metalhead for 30 years already. I don't think that this will ever change. I would like to explore some other territories, and I actually even did. We have a post-rock band that's called Sunset in a 12th House, and there is more in a different direction. And there were times when I was writing some kind of electro-industrial music and stuff like that. But with this band, I don't think that the metal element will go out of the music. On the other hand, I would like, and this is probably the first time that I'm telling this, I would like one day with this band to release at least a couple of songs that are completely into, I don't know how to say that, ritualistic music maybe.
Okay, okay.
And to have only that part, because we have that kind of elements incorporated in our music, and I think especially with this album there would be a lot of people who would feel this vibe of a ritual in our music. But I would like to have a couple of songs only about that. But I don't, like I said, I don't have any kind of plan about this. It's just that I would like to do it someday in the future.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So two questions that I want to ask a music like you, because in your music since Negro Budget, and now we listen a little things of folk things. So and why the folk music is much is, so how do you put this? Do you think that the folk is still its style allows the progressive bands to merge with these elements an easier way?
Um, Again, I'm not really thinking in this way. It's for me, it's more like experimenting with things.
Yeah. Yes.
And I like this experimental aspect of the music. And this is not only about the instruments. I'm a sound engineer. I have my own studio. The thing is that sometimes I also experiment with gear. I like to do unusual things. I like to crank up some stuff that should not be cranked up to see
Right.
what kind of mood is providing. But on the other side, there are some things that I like about Romanian folklore and about the Romanian pantheon, if to
Okay.
be more precise. Um, I have a degree in anthropology,
Okay. Okay.
and
Nice.
I studied this kind of things, especially about my land. And there are some things which I personally resonate. For example, I don't resonate at all with our folk music. Our folk music, I mean, on one side, it's really nice that Romania somehow preserved the music like it was played, I don't know, 300 years ago, 500 years ago. So people are still playing that music, which is very, very nice. On the other hand, since then, there's no novelty in our traditional music, which I personally feel that, I mean, like really nobody, I mean, I feel that I would like to give a try with this experimental approach on things, and to have a not modern expression, because I don't think that we fit into modern music. It's modern if we speak generally, but it's not sounding necessarily modern. But with nowadays approach, with nowadays technology, what you can do with that things. We have this hammered wood. This hammered wood is mainly used in churches, and of course, it's a pre-Christian way of tribal expression, but I wanted to put it in our music and to give a completely different context. It's the same with that long pipes that we use. It's called tulnik. Those instruments were actually not even used necessarily as instruments. It was more for communicating from one hill to other. It was like signals. I wanted to integrate that in our music. And I also studied a bit this woodwinds instruments, especially how they were used also in African tribes, and how is that correlating with breathing techniques and stuff like that. So it's a completely different approach from the traditional, and it's not only expanding musically, it's also expanding, I don't know, culturally, spiritually. And this is the approach that I have towards these things. I don't say that this is a valuable thing. I don't say that other people should do it like this. This is my way of using those instruments.
Great, great. So one thing that you said in the previous question, and this is you are archaeologist, and you do like the things
Anthropologists. And
anthropologist. Sorry,
yeah,
anthropologist. So anthropologist. You do so you did many things into your music, like ritual, like this kind of stuff from the different cultures around the world, especially from your culture. So what do you think about this matter into the metal, especially because I see a lot of times in the metal, like the pagan word. The pagan words means for many people means like ceremonial ritual with folk instruments and with different kinds of folklore of each country. But when you listen and a band tries to do something pagan metal, especially they play folk metal because I think the pagan subject is like a feeling. You can label the music just as a feeling. So what do you think about the pagan metal? Oh,
uh, this is a tough question because um, from a certain point of view, I feel that we belong to that kind of world. But from other point of view, we don't belong to that kind of world. We've been invited in the past also with Negura Bunjet, also with Dordeduh. We played many festivals, many pagan festivals, and when people did not know about our music and we started to play, you saw on their face the what the fuck face, you know.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
yeah, they did not expect us. Usually people expect this medieval chords and scales, this happy joy music, drinking music and stuff like that. uh, Most of the people associate this pagan movement with this kind of things. On the other hand, if you take this thing seriously, you will never associate things with those things because those are the superficial aspects. I understand, of course, that people come to a festival to have fun and to, I don't know, have a good time over there.
Yeah.
But we are not necessarily that kind of band to provide entertainment in that kind of uh, way. We probably will prefer to, I don't know, open a spiritual environment for people and to, I don't know, have a space to reflect on some more profound things. But of course, I also understand if people completely not resonate with this stuff and they are completely out of tune of this aspect. I don't believe that this more profound aspects is something elevated or something great or whatever. This has meaning and um, purpose in my life, but it doesn't mean that it should be the same for everybody. And I don't want to impose this to anyone.
Okay, okay, okay. Now, well, we will return to from the new album. No, hearing this hard that I try to translate with the Google and with Google, and the words means talent in English. So correct me if I'm right or wrong, because Google has a limit with to the translation. So what is the meaning of the word hard? Because I try to relate, if the word means talent, casting the person who did the cover art connect with the concept of the talent, because I see a person into there with the mind and try to has an inspiration with the human being thought and the faculties with this word, no, with the talent word.
Uh, let's say the translation is somehow right, um, but it's incomplete. It's probably the trivial use of the word, but the full meaning of the word is more related to grace,
Okay.
having divine grace.
Yeah.
It's a word that is used a lot in churches and in spiritual context. Uh, and the album, it is mostly related to being connected to this divine inspiration, and also the cover is kind of expressing that. On the other hand, the story of the album is it's telling more about a journey of transformation, or a really deep inner transformation, like your tribal people do with their healing ceremonies with
Yeah.
ayahuasca.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that ayahuasca nowadays became a hip thing, and there are celebrities doing it, but that shit is a serious fucking shit. I mean, something that you don't joke about, and it's we kind of have the same approach. It's about deep transformation. It's not something on the surface of the mind or the surface of the consciousness. Uh, it's
Because
this.
if possible, yeah, if it's possible to relate with this subject, will with like Japanese culture, like the chakra.
Yes, we kind of explored a lot of things. I mean, if you take a close look to the symbolism that we use on this album, you will see things that are related to astrology, things that are related to tarology. You see that also in our video. It's all a lot of things from the what is nowadays called occult science, also Kabbalah, and but to be honest, I don't really want to focus on this thing, because I don't want that people think intellectually about this album. This album was never meant to be in that direction. It is more to open your heart and feel what it is about, and see if you have a common resonance with that, if you are able to get in tune with what we do. And if not, it's really cool with us.
Okay, okay. So now we will speak about sobre an abstract subject. Beyond finding, for me, especially dark and gloomy sensations into this heart, and relating the still style labels of the band, like progressive, black metal, a little pause, a little folk metal, as I talked in the previous questions. We will talk about these abstract topics such as synesthesia. Perhaps do you hear this subject in the world, or this concept, the synesthesia? If you don't, the synesthesia describe the smells and flavors of one band, of one song into the music. So, according to exploration of people, 5% of the community of the hearing music just has this talent to smell and feel with his mouth or their mouth the sensations of the music. So how could you, into this matter, how could you describe the smell and flavors that the listeners will find in this heart? In this heart, because for me, I find many times wet flavors, like, and sometimes like smell like concrete right in the morning, so something kind of like that. So how do you describe in this subject the music from Dordeduh?
To be honest, I don't think that I'm a part of those kind of people. I don't real. I mean, it would be great if I would be, but I'm not, and I will not lie about this. Uh, I I do association with music, but in completely different realms. It's more about things that I could not necessarily be able to translate. It's more about feelings and concrete feelings, and sometimes it is something that somehow could be related. I mean, I completely understand when people talk about this and they translate it into taste and flavors and smell, and but I would not be able to judge this kind of stuff. I leave it to the people to do it.
Hmm. Okay, good. So until here we spoke about the band, about the music, the lyrics, the language, about everything this the last album. So now we will speak about other matters and personal questions about your work as a producer. So, into the matter an underground band and a conventional bands, what should be considered? There are patterns that are more vinyl and tape production stick to this underground metal concept according to the fans. And this kind of fans thinks that the CD all expand the collections. I don't know why, but the fans here, especially in Latin America, thinks that the vinyl and tape are the best way to hear the music underground, not for the mainstreams. So, what do you think are the factors for the fans to stick to this underground metal concept? And where is the digital platforms according to this underground and mainstream subject?
I think that all this stuff is more related to a certain nostalgia because I don't think that people are able, I mean, like regular people, regular metal fans who are into underground music, I don't think that they necessarily understand what is behind the production. For example, okay, now it's kind of known that the vinyl is less compressed than a CD or that it provides better dynamics. But I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anyone, but I doubt seriously that a regular person is able to decipher more dynamics or less dynamics into a production. I would actually even bet that they would like more um, a production that is more compressed because it's actually more in your face
Yeah, okay.
than one that it's less compressed with more dynamics. And it is true. I mean, for vinyl, you do a completely different mastering technique than for I don't
CD or
know,
tape.
CD or digital platform or whatever. It's a completely different approach, and it is a hearable approach. First of all, on vinyl, you don't have this radio standards, like everything has to be on maximum and stuff like that. So of course you can put more dynamics, and of course it sounds more organic.
Okay.
But I think it depends very much on the style of the music, because sometimes, for example, a vintage record, of course, it's nice to hear it in the context of a vintage record because it will give you, like I said, that nostalgia of those
Mm.
times and so on and so forth. I personally don't like remastered or remixed uh, things. Even I did this remixes for my own music. So because I was not happy with the mixes back in the 90s that we were able to put out. But I prefer to listen music in the original state like it was developed. And I can understand that there are bands that they want to sound like, I don't know, the trashy 80s or the speed
Yeah.
metal or hair metal or whatever. Uh, it's really up to them, and I understand if they want a vibe like that. But for the listeners, I think this is more a matter of myth and a matter of so-called being cult. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
cult guy. I listen
Yeah.
only to shitty productions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think this is a limitation that you impose on yourself. But of course, this is my own personal opinion. I don't think that this is the best opinion, so it's just the way I think about this.
Okay, okay. So, well, or about talking about the vinyl. So now the vinyl has a great success selling like it's like a trend now. So because, but you said that for me especially the vinyl for me is like I don't care about the sound but the vinyl sound because I don't like it. Really, I prefer the sound from the CD. And according to the science, the best way to hear music nowadays is the CD, not the digital, not the tape, not the vinyl, because the CD the CD tries to represent at maximum the sound of the bands according to the science. So I don't. So what do you think about the revival? The revival of the vinyl is impressive because it's not anymore underground format. It's a trend now.
First of all, I agree with you from the perspective of science. I mean, if you want to hear the way that the band is sounding, like really sounding, without any kind of, I don't know,
With a needle, perhaps.
uh, yeah, I mean, uh, of course, in every technological aspect, there are compromises. And to not prolong this discussion, I think that the straightforward and the less compromised version is probably the CD or the DVD or whatever. But on the other hand, I completely support the this revival of the vinyl. Actually, this many people it consider it a revival because more people were aware about it. But actually, the vinyl market never really died. Maybe in the 80s it had a bit of a downtrend, but and in the 90s. But um, if you're a collector and if you want really to support the band, you will always buy physical
Yeah.
products. And the vinyl, it is a way to show appreciation for the artist. Uh, on digital platforms, actually now more and more people are starting to become aware about this, but you are earning really little money from that. I mean, if you have like millions of views and millions of listenings, you probably earn like 50 euro. So this is really unfair in from this point of view. So if you want to support the band, then you buy the physical merchandise because the band it has an income, and of course I strongly believe that the career of a musician is kind of fading out because nobody is even like, I mean, I worked as a tour manager. I worked booking for Prophecy for a short while. I work as a stage manager. I work as a sound engineer. I work as a musician. So I know all the things related to the music industry, and I don't think that I'm the best or the greatest, but I have knowledge of 30 years in this regard,
Yeah.
and I can tell you that things are not fair at all for the artist, and it's becoming less and less fair. And if you want to have a career as a musician, you need to invest your time and focus and energy 100%. If you're not able to make out a living out of that, you will never be able to afford that. And of course, the quality of the music suffers. It's without doubt. I mean, if you spend like, I don't know, 8 hours a day for a record and you work your fucking ass off to have a best to provide the best that you can, or if you work like after 8 hours of a fucking job that you actually fucking hate, and you go into studio or rehearsal and try to work in a tired state of mind, of course the result will differ big time. It's no doubt. So the career of a musician is starting to fade out. I mean, you will see less and less people who will be able to live out of music, to have a living out of music.
Okay, okay. So one, a lot of things that you said about the streaming platforms or the digital platforms, because the music for this new generation is speaking about people 15, 14, 13, or perhaps 10 years old. They love this new generation prefers to hear the bands with this new style, with new style like playlist with one, two, three, or maximum four songs in the digital platforms, especially in Europe, especially in US. The new generations of fans wants to hear just the one, two, three songs into these digital platforms. So we are, as you and me are old people. We collect, we buy physical material. When you love a band, you bought the CD, the vinyl tape, etc., etc. So, but so into this matter, what are you think about the albums doesn't have the same impact compared to the 80s and 90s? And what does band needs to do to improve the listeners of all songs in an album?
Unfortunately, I don't have any solution for this. I would love to have an idea, but unfortunately, I don't. I think the only thing that we can do is to accept things as they are. Uh, to be honest, I don't really understand, and I'm not really able to cope with this new culture of being relevant, of having value. This are really common expressions nowadays. If you want to have to be relevant on the network, you need to do this and this and this and this. I don't believe in this kind of things. First of all, because this kind of things are not authentic way of you the authentic way of your self-expression. I'm not a fake person. I don't want to fool anyone. I don't do this for money. I like honest and authentic people. For me, this kind of things have no value. I'm not selling myself. So for me, this kind of things are not relevant,
Yeah.
so to say. Um, So I accept the mentality and characteristics of this new culture because I have no other way. If somebody feels something and gets something positive or even negative out of our music, it's fine with me. But other way, I will never try to I don't know be relevant and to sell my music.
Mhm. Okay. So we are very close to end this interview. And so, besides your music projects, you're involved in your 30 years of experience, and also manage your recording studio in Timisoara. I think
Yes.
this is the correct pronounced. So this means you are up to date with the local scene in your country. So what is your opinion about new rock metal bands around the world, and any recommendations from your country especially?
Uh, to be honest, I'm kind of impressed with the quality of musicianship from young people. I mean, I had people. I also do a lot of. I used to do, because now it's pandemic period. I used to do a lot of shows. I'm used to go with bands in tours and stuff like that. So of course I see a lot of new coming bands, and they are really good musicians. I mean, if I compare myself with, like, I don't know, a guy, guitar player that is, I don't know, 20, 25 years old, I really much sucked if I compare myself with them. I mean, this input of the information from the digital platform, from YouTube and from all the media services, of course, it 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 improves a lot on the skills of a musician. Back then, I mean, if you wanted in the 80s, in the 90s, when you wanted to cover a band, you had no tabs, no. I mean, you had to listen it
Yeah,
and
yeah,
try to figure it out. Nowadays, there you find free guitar courses on the YouTube. So of course, people can develop a lot, but on the other hand, I see a lot of superficiality. I mean, I know a couple of really good musicians who, let's say, they played in a band for, I don't know, a couple of years, and they completely changed their perspective. I mean, they are probably now, I don't know, IT developers, or I don't know, lawyers or whatever. So I don't think that there's anymore this die-hard fans like it used to be. And I'm not talking only about metal music. It's the same in hip hop culture. It's the
yeah,
same
yeah.
in electronic music. I see DJs coming and going. So, and sometimes this is not even relevant if you're I don't know, becoming to be successful. I saw people who started to become successful, and they had a really good future in front of themselves, and they just dropped out of music. But of course, uh, who I am to judge this kind of things? It's their life, it's their approach of in life. So things are as they are, and as they feel in their ways. But if I would be to recommend a couple of bands, for example, I have a local band that I used to go with them in tours and stuff. It's called Methadone Skies. They play a psychedelic post rock, stoner kind of music, and I think they are pretty good. I think they just released their fifth album. Three of those albums are recorded in my studio. They're really good guys, and their drummer is now playing percussion for us. Uh, Another band, even is completely out of let's say metal range or anything that we play. Uh, I think it's a really underrated band. It's called Pinholes. They play kind of a alternative rock music, and I think they're really good. I mean, I love them live. They create a really nice atmosphere. They are good musicians. They know how to perform their instruments. They know how to dial up in a good guitar tone and stuff like that. Something else. There's a new product of the new album of some guys from completely other part of my country, from Constanza. They are called White Walls. Their album is also pretty much acclaimed. It's I don't know, progressive rock metal band, really really good with a really good production. I think their latest album is a really good one. Also, the older stuff is really good, and they are also really really good musicians. There's also a rock opera which is called Lucifer
Okay.
from the drummer of the band Taine, and he composed everything. He also mixed his album with Jens Bogren, like we did. So it's a good progressive rock album. I don't know. There's a band called Thai Veils, which is in ambient music, minimalist uh, genre. So this is the bands that are. I'm sure I forgot a lot of other important bands, but this is what it popped up in my mind now.
Okay. Well, Edmond, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one as I did, and thank you very much for your time. The last album is a great one. I hear it many times, and we did a review in our web. So take care during this pandemic, during this situation. In from all the staff of Dordeduh, we are wishing best for the band. And any last words for the fans in Latin America and energetic readers that wants to see someday the two are here?
I would love to come in those countries. I never been there. I studied a lot the culture over there. Uh, I would, to be honest, I would prefer even to go there not from a musical journey, not with my band. I would prefer to go to have free time and to be able to explore the culture of your country, especially also the whole Latin America. And thank you very much for your support and appreciation and kind words.
Okay, thank you very much, Edmond.